Dominican Republic right before she vanished. We're learning new information about the man she's seen heading to the beach with, what he is reportedly telling authorities, and why there are reports that his stories don't add up. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Friends going to the beach around 4:15 in the morning at their all-inclusive resort. And you can see the person believed to be Sudiksha with a man in a cutoff t-shirt. That is the person she is believed to have been with before she vanished. This video was obtained by Dominican media outlet Noticias SIN. The video then shows Sudiksha's friends returning to the hotel from the beach around 5:55 in the morning. And while they returned to the hotel, they left Sudiksha and that young man that hasn't been identified publicly by authorities yet behind at the beach. But
you don't never do that. You don't never leave your friend. If you go to a bar with your friend, y'all leave together. You don't just, I'm leaving off, I'm breaking off, especially women. Maybe some men to do that with a woman, they'll let you do it if it's for y'all. He make it out, I'm about to go home with this woman, I'll take her to my crib. Maybe. But as a woman, you don't ever let your friend leave with some random dude. You better take a picture of him, take his ID, whatever it is. Nah.
Here is the surveillance video showing when he returns later that morning, just before 10 a.m. alone. You can see he now has his shirt off. We'll get into his reported explanation for what happened in just a moment. But whatever happened to Sudiksha, he is believed to be the last person to have seen her, to have been with her. It's also important to note that police in the Dominican Republic, they're the ones leading this investigation. They say this young man, he's not a suspect, and they tell ABC News that at this point, her disappearance is being investigated and treated as an accident. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some serious questions being raised about what happened, what he is saying, and
she accidentally disappeared. The hell?
How this night came to an end. Now, that young man, who police say was the last person to be with Sudiksha, has reportedly been somewhat inconsistent with details of how the night ended. He allegedly has said that he and Sudiksha went swimming and that she was swept away by a big wave and drowned. Dominican media outlets citing police also say that his claims have somewhat been inconsistent. He says that he threw up and fell asleep on a beach chair, and the last time he saw her was either when she was in knee-high water or walking along the shore. Now, Dominican...
So, either way, he's saying, I seen her 1 minute, and then she got swept away. Both scenarios, she in the water, and something comes, and she's gone. And he don't report it, don't do nothing, just walk back to the hotel? Oh, yeah, come on.
Media say that police are keeping tabs on that young man while they continue this investigation. Sudiksha's father says that he doesn't know who he is, meaning Sudiksha perhaps met him while she was at the resort on spring break. It's obviously a place this time of year very popular with college students who are escaping the rigors of school to enjoy spring break with their friends. Now, one new clue that search crews have found is what's believed to be Sudiksha's clothes, which were located on a beach chair. Police say there are no signs of violence associated with those clothes. Now let's talk a little bit more about this resort, because according to the account that this young man gave police, he had been drinking. It's unclear whether Sudiksha was intoxicated at the time of her disappearance, but this resort, it's seen as a place where college students can go and enjoy a bar 24 hours a day. We looked online and you can get packages for as low as $90 a night that has 24-hour bar access. And while authorities are piecing together what happened by talking to Sudiksha's friends, of course, that young man who was the last person to be seen with her, search crews are searching through land, sea, air in hopes of finding any more clues that could answer what happened to this 20-year-old girl. This is video that the civilian defense in the Dominican Republic posted on social media showing their search efforts. We know along with Dominican authorities, U.S. law enforcement, including the FBI, are involved in this search. Sudiksha is an Indian citizen, but a permanent U.S. resident. She lived in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is outside Washington, D.C. And the Loudoun County Sheriff has said that his agency is assisting with this search. And he told News Nation today that he thinks it's too premature to draw any conclusions on what happened. ABC News reported that Dominican officials over the weekend said that they believe that Sudiksha likely drowned. Sudiksha's father, who is now in the Dominican Republic, has said that he's not ready to believe that theory of drowning just yet. He is.
You got to find that body so that they could confirm it. Otherwise, he gonna say I was drunk. I don't remember what happened. Then you can't blame him. That's his goal. I was pissy drunk. She was pissy drunk. I don't know what happened. I woke up and went back to my hotel. I don't know. Maybe he thought like, oh well, I thought maybe she left me. I threw up and all this, and maybe she got tired of me. And but like now I'm out of here. I'm going back to my hotel. I didn't know. I turned around and she wasn't there.
Called on authorities to do more, to investigate the possibility of an abduction or a kidnapping. There hasn't been any evidence that we've heard of as of yet to support that theory either. Her father also says that he thinks it's suspicious that his daughter would leave her phone and wallet with her friends, who later reported her missing, since he says she always has those items on her. Now,
so she left her phone and her wallet with her friends? Damn. That just throws the boy and the man that was there sitting there like, oh, it's him probably. Then that's suspicious too for any teen, any person really nowadays, to go somewhere and leave their phone and their wallet with the friends, and then the friends just left them there. I don't know.
Her friends didn't report her missing until 4 p.m. on Thursday, which is roughly 12 hours since the last time Sudiksha was seen with them entering that beach on surveillance video. Now, while there are cameras that show when the group entered the beach and left and when people got back to their hotel rooms, there are no cameras directly on the beach that would be able to see Sudiksha, so authorities have to work with what they're finding through their search efforts and what friends and acquaintances have had to say during police interviews. The 20-year-old was on spring break with her friends ahead of studying pre-med at the University of Pittsburgh in the spring. According to her family, they say she was planning to pursue a career in medicine. Before we get...
Damn, she just wanted a little fling and then go back to studying and being on point. She probably a good student and did a bunch of stuff, and now, boom, life change in a second.
Get back to this episode of On the Case. I want to thank our partners at Upside for sponsoring this video.
I think, the most obvious, unfortunately, would be a drowning scenario. You got alcohol. This is a part of Punta Cana that is notorious for rip currents. In fact, this same hotel has had 5 drowning deaths since January. So it's not unusual. But then, of course, as I'm sure the FBI and everybody's looking into, until they have a body, they'll obviously explore a foul play narrative as well. Anything from abduction to, something going wrong with the male that she was with. But I think right now, in my mind, as an investigator and as a search and rescue specialist, is drowning is likely.
So maybe something happened. They all went out there and then she got swept up, and they all was like, "Oh my God, we don't know what to do." And they're just kids, and they panicked and like, "Let's give it a couple of days. We don't know. Or maybe she's gonna come." I don't know what they're thinking, but maybe kids do dumb shit sometimes, so they still teens.
And I know you've investigated a lot of different missing persons cases. What type of evidence would need to be seen for foul play to even be still more of a possibility than maybe that drowning theory, which really seems to be the one that authorities are treating it as at this point?
Sure. Well, this resort in particular, I'm sure has a ton of surveillance, probably a lot more than we've heard about. I'm sure that even the beaches are covered from longer distance surveillance cameras. And also, the rest of the group didn't come back up from the beach until 5:55 a.m. And I believe dawn is about 6:15-ish there. So this was not, the dead of night. And that's when workers will start being out there to set up lounge chairs and whatnot. And so I think it's going to come down to, witness statements that saw him and what his actions were, if he was looking for her in the water or if he was truly just passed out, I think, which is something he claims. And then, of course, if they find any, I don't know if she had her cell phone on her or not, but obviously a lot can be done with that with Celebrite and, it means like that. But I think it's going to come down to surveillance and obviously the interviews of the rest of the group she was with.
In your experience with these interviews, because I think to your point, there's been drowning deaths at this resort in Punta Cana, but when you have a case where at an all-inclusive resort where, let's face it, they're college kids, probably been drinking all day. The male that she was with has said that he passed out. He threw up and passed out on the beach. It was reported that there were some inconsistencies in his story. When was the last time we saw her? She was on the shore. She was in the water. She was taken by a wave. I mean, how do you balance inconsistencies that I know there's people in the world of social media that say that's a bit suspicious with the fact that, let's face it, they were at an all-inclusive resort and they were college kids that were drinking all day. And clearly he at least was intoxicated when all this happened.
Yeah. And I've seen surveillance of them heading out to the beach and listen, they're clearly intoxicated, especially him.
Yeah.
As far as, balancing that all out, it's really going to come down to, what the actions were. I know he's given these different stories, but we don't know if those are truly different stories or if those are different stories that have leaked out to the press.
Right.
Another recent case of drowning death that I was investigating on Riley Strain in Nashville. The same thing happened. There was a lot of stories that were out there that we knew were not true as investigators, but we couldn't really clarify at the time. So, I don't know if he's actually, if authorities are actually claiming that he's given different stories or if the press has heard different stories. So, it'll come down to that. Now, if he has given different accounts, that's a problem. That's a real problem because there should only be one story. But I also believe there's going to be other eyewitnesses out there of what his actions were at the time because the sun was coming up. And by the time he left the beach, there was a ton of people probably already out there. So it'd be interesting to know if he was truly asleep or if he was looking. Why didn't he summon help immediately? There were certainly people around 6 a.m.
You bring up a good point there because a lot of the information that we've been getting here in the United States has been through police sources in the Dominican Republic. Some speaking, I know, to like ABC News, some speaking to the local Dominican outlets. So it is hard to kind of piece together what's fact and what's truly the case, though this timeline is coming together that they were drunk at the beach and potentially she drowned. When you do search and rescue efforts or searching for missing people, what are some of the challenges that the ocean provides when it comes to getting evidence?
Yeah, so I mean, these rip currents. Well, anytime you mix alcohol with water, I mean, water even with alcohol is just so deadly. So much can go wrong in water, and and then you mix in alcohol and rip currents, and we don't know what type of swimmers they were. And listen, I know when I was on the spring break and everything, you especially in different countries, you kind of feel bulletproof, right? You go down there and it's just not the case. And tragedy, can happen. But then it's from a search and rescue point of view, if somebody is in the water, it becomes a whole different challenge because initially that person's going to sink and they're going to stay like that for, depending on the water temperature and their individual body dynamics, they're going to stay under there for a couple days before they surface again. And then you have a very limited amount of time to find them before they're going to sink again. And so it's a big challenge.
And that was my next question, because I know her father.
It's saying once the body, she's going to sink, she's so heavy, then once the body bloat, they're going to float to the top again. They get eaten by an animal, they can then go down. It's like looking for a stick in the woods.
He's in the Dominican Republic, and you just can't imagine what he and this family is going through right now, trying to find some sense of closure in hopes that maybe she's still alive. But I know one thing that he had said was that she would have come ashore. If she was drowned, she came ashore. Rip currents, how difficult is it to recover a body from the ocean, especially if it's someone who's taken by a big wave or a rip current in a place like Punta Cana?
Yeah, sometimes they indeed will come ashore. However, with the rip current, it is a current that's actually taking you away from the beach. It's going against the wave pattern, and it's actually shooting you out into the ocean. And from there, once you drown, you immediately start to sink. And once you're on the bottom, you're not in that current anymore, and until you float again, which takes a couple days. So there is a window of opportunity. It depends how far you get taken out to sea, and you're not guaranteed to wash up on shore. In fact, one of the people that drowned in January for the same resort still has not been found. So it's not a guarantee. And now we all hope that if this is the case, she's found.
I'm sure her father is thinking everybody's suspicious. Y'all suspicious for leaving her. He's suspicious. He's changing the story. Watching you start looking at a bunch of things, and it's just always everything ain't black and white. So.
And it seems when you're up that high and you're looking for something in the ocean, I mean, how do you go about trying to find?
I don't even play with the ocean. That's crazy.
Some sort of evidence along the beachfront.
Sure. So what you're looking for is actually it's not even the form of a body. It's just kind of a mass of water that looks a little different, a little denser. But it's incredibly hard because if there's any waves at all, it's constantly shifting that. It almost looks like a blur pattern. And if there's white caps, it makes it really hard. But if it's dead calm, the water becomes like a mirror where you can't see through it. So it makes it really hard. But there are also modeling programs that can now predict the float pattern of somebody that's been washed to sea based on the current tides and everything. I don't know if I assume they probably have it down there. I know our U.S. Coast Guard and search and rescue teams that specialize in water rescue have it. If they don't have it, I'm sure it's been made available to them. I'm sure we're offering all the assets we can with FBI and everybody involved. But it's just because you got a helicopter view, it does not make any guarantees. It's still very, very hard to see, even in clear water like that.
Knowing that you have the Dominican authorities that are leading this investigation, but the FBI is involved, you even have her local sheriff's office in Loudoun County, Virginia, that's been making statements about assisting. In your experience, when it comes to, the Dominican authorities have experience working with the FBI, obviously. I mean, a huge part of their economy comes from the United States and college students that are going for spring break. So it's not like they've never worked together before. But how do these investigations typically work when you have people coming from so many different agencies trying to accomplish the same thing?
Yeah, so the Dominicans are in control of this investigation, but now you got FBI attaché offices involved and whatnot. They're always going to be the Dominicans are always going to be the lead in this as far as the press and everything goes. But I can pretty much guarantee you that the FBI has has a lot of say in there right now. They're not the lead; they're an assisting agency, but they still have a lot of power even out of the country, and I guarantee they're leaning on them a little bit in kind of forcing their way to assist. They won't take any credit for it, but I'm sure that's going on, and I'm sure there's a lot of assets that they might not have that they're being offered. A lot of intelligence as far as whether it could be a drowning or something else, because there's everything. It's not just if she's in the water, of course, there's going to be a lot of surveillance to, be analyzed and to be enhanced, and a lot of interviews to be done. And I'm sure the FBI is going to want to sit down on those interviews and assist. And although the Dominican will be the lead, I think the American agencies are probably sitting side by side. Well, after a certain amount of time, what's going to happen is that those kids are going to come home. They're going to be back on U.S. soil. And the search and rescue efforts are just like with any other search and rescue effort is going to wind down if it's not successful. And then it's, unfortunately going to become a private effort for the family. I'm sure an investigation will continue, at least on the books, with Dominican authorities. What that entails, I don't know. It seems like they're pretty confident this is a drowning, and I don't think they're going to make a huge effort to locate her if this goes on another 4 or 5 days. I can't imagine it beyond that. They'll probably call it off just like the U.S. Coast Guard would
Damn, they turn 4 or 5 days. That's it.
too. So then it becomes a private effort. And if they're not investigating a foul play narrative, then it's probably going to be extremely frustrating for the family. And they're probably going to have to go to private efforts if that's something that they feel really needs to be explored. But
that's something that they even have the funds to do.
Some believe that it was too soon to say that foul play was not expected, knowing, and again, kind of came from police sources, but speaking to ABC that over the weekend, it was believed that she was drowned. What timeline typically is there when you rule out foul play that would be expected in something like this?
Well, I guess you never truly rule it out until you have the body and the body rules it out. But in this case, I think the reason that is fairly quick is because they know they went to the water. They know the time the other people came back was the rest of the group was at 5:55 a.m. So within 20 minutes, it's going to be the sun's coming up, and then I'd be willing to bet that there's plenty of other witness interviews, whether it be workers at the hotel or people that were taking early morning walks.
They're saying, I thought like the friends just left them out there and they just came back and they was out there for a couple hours or something. So the friends just like, oh, like we were going back to the hotel. She's like, oh, I'll catch up with you in give me 20 minutes or something. And then by the time they got back to the hotel, probably not even knowing she was missing. They seen her. If that's the case, and then within that 20-minute time frame, she disappeared. Remember, this is a party town, so it probably was other people there walking on the beach, like he said. They would have seen any. If they say, "Oh, you know what? I seen them," and they were arguing, then now we got a problem. If multiple people say, "Yeah, we seen them too," the Indian girl and the white guy, they were arguing, and she was yelling about something, and we don't know, then you got a problem.
Or having coffee or whatever, that could say, I didn't see anything unusual going on. I saw a guy, passed out by himself. Now, if there was yelling or anything like that, then that's a different story. But if there's nothing that plays into that narrative of foul play, then I just, I think I don't know how they're going to come to that conclusion. How they can, what there is to actually investigate. This could happen.
Nothing to charge them with. Dang, that's crazy. Praise to her and her family and her father that's out there. Beautiful young girl. She would have been probably an amazing doctor, medical professional. She had her head on straight. She was just out there with her friends having a good time. Wow. Another good one lost, man. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. Y'all think he did it? Y'all think it's an accident? That's what I'm leaning to after hearing that. It sounds suspicious at first, but after hearing that, and it wasn't long before the friends was out there, they left within basically 20, 30 minutes. This happened before the sun come up. Probably other people out there. I don't know. Maybe he was just a college kid and he's giving different stories because he's in trouble, or like, oh my God, I'm out here with this woman and I don't want to get in trouble. It could be a lot of reasons. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. Like, share, subscribe, please, if you made it this far. Please.